All right, we're live.
Hi guys, it's Nikki from Paranormal Perth. Welcome with me, and today is I have my lovely co-hosts Nick Muley from Chicago and Robert from
Central Queensland.
Queensland. So how you guys doing?
Doing pretty
Oh,
good.
yeah, all right.
It's been having quite the amount of snow over here, so it's been quite a winter day for us, as you guys have probably seen.
Yeah, got another
Yeah,
poke in the
so for
eye.
people that don't know, poor Robert. So for people that don't know, we did have a little bit of an issue setting up, but we're ready to go and hopefully, yeah, enjoy Paranormal Perth chat and see how we do. This is my first time hosting, so fingers crossed I do alright. So, Nick, what got you tuned into the paranormal?
What got me into the paranormal was, again, it really started, at quite a young age. Again, I was only I got into it when I really started getting into it when I was 12. For the most part, it was curiosity that brought me into it. It was growing up, obviously, I was already like huge into horror movies. But in addition, even before I really got officially started, which come to think of it now, it's 20 years ago that I officially started. This is my 20th year being in the field. But even prior to 2005, I was already, again, with along with the horror films. Um, when I was also younger in the mid to late 90s, we also used to watch The X Files, which, was still brand new at the time and quite popular at that time. So that kind of also served as an inspiration. But when I, what really got me started from age 12 onwards was the curiosity and just even still to this day, I just knew that this was something I was meant to do and I was drawn to it. So, unlike, again, a lot of cases, what we hear a lot of times when it comes to other investigators, that it's either because they had an experience when they were younger. That wasn't the case with me, and that's why I said the curiosity brought me in, and it just over these past 20 years is where, if you want to look at it very carefully, I basically climbed through the ranks, to get to where I am today, and I've had quite the amount of experiences and investigations, as you guys have seen. So it's been quite a journey for me.
Oh, awesome. Robert, same question. What got you interested into the paranormal?
When I was 4, so that was 47 years ago, um, 48 years ago now, me and both my sisters saw an Aboriginal elder in our bathroom in full war paint, one of those red butt flap type things on, holding a spear with one leg up on the knee, and then he just vanished in front of our eyes. So
Oh, wow.
that got me into it, and then later on, I was given a pantomime of Australian animals, probably from him telling his other Aboriginal cohort co ghosts
Yeah.
that to entertain me because I was sick at that point in time. So I had an arrangement of koalas and emus, crocodiles, platypus, all going up the foot of mum's bed, mum and dad's bed,
Mhm.
'cause that's the room I was in. And yeah, after that I was sort of hooked when 95 came around, 1995. I was able to get on the computer and start looking up different things like ghost stories, supposedly true ghost stories.
Yeah.
But most of you could tell they weren't true ghost stories because there was somebody just wanting attention. But yeah, that sort of got me into it, and I've been to different places, seen different things, uh, and yeah, in hour and 15 minutes, I'm going to be on another
Mhm.
show where we also help out. Sometimes the host on that finds Reddit users that are wanting help, so we'll put out information on that to give them a bit of help if we can. I'm not too sure what I think this this one coming up is about Valentine's Day, which is tomorrow. Well, yeah, tomorrow here.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Day after
Yeah.
tomorrow for us.
Tuesday over there in the US. So candy sales and flower shops will be stocking up if they haven't already.
Oh wow, awesome. So for people that want to know how I got to the paranormal field, so I lost a loved one at a really young age, and I always felt like he was around me, and I kind of just wanted to know what was after death, and got me really into it. Watched a few horror movies and stuff like that, and then I just always felt like someone was watching me, type of thing. And then I got into my mediumship and stuff like that. And then obviously I met Nick through Things Network and we just started talking. And then I decided to create my own team here in Perth, West Australia called Paranormal Perth, West Australia. And yeah, just been on that journey ever since. So, yep. Nick, if you had a place to investigate, what would be the top list on your bucket list that you haven't investigated yet?
Well, see, like obviously, since you mentioned West, obviously I got more than one location that I definitely really would like to investigate. Not surprisingly, so, but I'll give you guys at least a top five, for now. Because I mean, there's a lot, but at least giving five of them out would probably be the best way to really give you guys a good answer for it. Obviously, one of them would have to be, and this is a place I've been trying to go to for years, is Gettysburg,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. Obviously, where we have the American Civil War. And another place I'd like to go to is, oh man, what was that place called? It was just right. It was just right in front of me a second ago. Um, oh, the
Kenworth?
Winchester. Wait, no, it just came back. Winchester Mystery House in California.
Oh,
That'd
wow.
be another place I'd like to go to. And there's also a. I just got word that I can't necessarily say exactly where this is located because we actually are trying to get into this. Hey, Joe, we actually are trying to schedule an investigation, hopefully sometime in the future. But I will say there is a historic prison that just recently closed down, and it had been in
Oh, wow.
operation for over 100, almost 100, over 150 years, and they just closed it down. And they're now opening up for history tours. But even they said we also have ghosts too. So this is for all you ghost lovers out there too. So we're trying to get. That's another place I'd like to investigate. That's three. And let's see, as far as four and five, I would have to say the last two would have to be, well, another one. One of them's another famous location, Queen Mary, also in California. And finally, I guess the last one I would say, and again, another good one. This would be another great investigation. Would have to be, um, I would have to go for Sloss Furnace in Birmingham, Alabama, which that it's a very creepy location. In fact, I'm not sure if you guys have any locations like this here in Australia, but it is the only former steel mill that's open to the public. And although they do history tours and even concerts, they also do investigations there. So that would be my top five.
Awesome. Robert, same question.
Uh, Probably Uluru, seeing how we haven't been out there
Mhm.
yet. We've been up
Yeah.
far north. We've been south. We've been inland south. Um, Kubapiti, not only for the opals, just for going out there to investigate for haunts as well, because I'm quite sure that there'd be quite a few out that way.
Yeah.
Uh, we've been to Anna Bay, where down the beach a bit is a shipwreck. Um,
Oh, that's me.
I tried doing a audio recording for that, but didn't catch anything, and we ended up losing one of the cars because we had two cars at the time. One of the cars, the clutch burned out because we were driving on the sand. So didn't get anything there. But where else? We've been to Tullamore in Midwest New South Wales. Uh,
Yeah.
got a couple of things there, but we didn't actually record them, so can't prove it. Probably down to Tasmania as well. I'd like to go
Oh
to.
yeah, that would be a good spot.
Yeah, uh, some of the places though they are no longer available to be checked out as ghost hunting areas, like Monte Cristo. That's closed now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that the owners, the sisters, have stopped any and all paranormal
Oh,
investigation.
whoops.
Sorry.
Again, she's still getting used to. We're still getting used to Eve Mucks.
But yeah,
Yeah. Sorry.
there's some of the places I'd like to go to.
Just real quick. Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's there's that scratching type
Crackling
sound
again.
again.
Oh
It almost
no.
sounds like
Sorry.
talking.
Just real quick. I mean, I also broadcast
Yeah.
this on my personal page. So there are a few, even though you guys, again, it's doing the same thing you did with StreamYard. There are people from my side who are watching. So we actually do have a couple
Okay. Cool.
more viewers watching. Grizzlies, just want to give a shout out. Hello, Grizzly.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Chris is watching. And right now, Ed's also watching as well. So good to have everyone tuning in.
Awesome. Thank you for watching and yeah, being supportive. This is my first time hosting, so whew,
And I only on mute to make sure it wasn't me making the crackling noise.
no. It's, we are having a little bit of technical issues, as yeah, you guys probably noticed, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We're working our way. We're working our way up slowly but surely.
So I do apologise. We did have two other guests to join us, but unfortunately, with internet issues, they are not able to join at the moment. But hopefully, they'll be able to find their way in. So, yeah, shout out to Robert Brown from Unknown Adventures and also Jason from the Afterlife Party here in Perth. So, yep. If I had a place I would want to investigate, obviously the US is a big thing. Because obviously, Nick, you know, you guys have a lot of haunted locations. I would love to do Penhurst. Um, I don't know why it's Bobby Mackey, but that came out weird. And also, I would like to do the Clown Hotel
Oh, the Clown
and,
Motel.
and conquer my fear. I hate clowns and I hate dolls. So, yep, I'm going to conquer my fear and hopefully do that one day and then see how we go from there. Um,
See,
what else
I
can
would
we
do
talk
the
about?
honestly. To be fair, I definitely would do the Clown Motel too. I give, and funny enough, I mean, I'm the opposite. I'm usually not afraid of clowns myself, but either way, I give it a shot just to see how everything goes. Investigating
Mm-hmm,
the Clown Motel. I know in this case and I know of course that's pretty much almost like on the other side of the country for me, but I'd make the trip over there if I was able to.
mm-hmm. I think what would scare me the most is like if they started running around, like, you know, Chucky.
Yeah, but you
I
know,
was like, yeah, bye,
well, down here.
See, Don's always good at
like,
doing
Yeah.
that.
and, if any viewers have any questions, don't hesitate to ask because I will
Yeah,
happily answer them.
because the
So,
comments aren't because the comments are not coming from my personal I mean,
yes.
are not coming from
Yeah,
this side. I'm
they're
watching.
coming out of there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching it from my phone. Hey, Bob, good to see you. Bob Burnell's watching. Let me see. Oh, and Ed had said, I had the phobia, but I actually got through it by going to a bunch of clown houses, especially during Halloween season. Which if you go to a lot of those,
Hmm.
obviously you overcome your fear that way. That's definitely a good way to definitely to confront
Yeah.
your fear.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, I have an investigation coming up, and there's a room. It's called the Dolls Room, and it's very, very tight. I've been there before. I lasted probably 60 seconds. I walked up there, plonked the gear down. I'm like, yeah, hi, bye. And all we hear is me running down the forest.
you just gave me a reminder of another location. Again, another very creepy location for a lot of people. But again, I'd be willing to take the risk. I can't remember what the actual name of it is. It's somewhere. I think I know it's somewhere down in Mexico. I can't remember the actual title name, but it's often referred to as the Island of the Dolls, where they had all these
Hmm.
dolls. Have you
Yeah.
guys ever heard the story? Did you guys ever hear the story of of how that all occurred? Why it's called the Island of the Dolls? You guys ever hear of that one?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
the one where they
Unfortunately,
did
What was that, Nikki?
you go? Is that the one where they did the show with Ghost Hunt?
This
yeah.
Ghosts?
island, this
Adventures. Yeah.
yeah, this island only ever had one inhabitant that lived on this island prior before it became what it is now. And the story goes was that he had found the dead body of a little girl who drowned,
Hmm.
and beside her, she had a doll. And so, with all due respect, you know, because he was the only inhabitant and was far away from, this wasn't like that case where he could try to find her family or anything because he was living on this island. So, with all due respect, he buried her. And when she died, like I said, she had a doll with her, but so she buried her with excuse me, he buried her along with the doll that she had in her possession. But as time went on, more he would find one doll mysteriously appearing in the water, then another, then another. So then in his case, he decided in order to kind of in
Appease
this
them.
girl, yeah, he in his girl's in this little girl's honor, he decorated the entire island with dolls. But here's the strangest part: he continued decorating this island until he drowned in the he mysteriously drowned in the very same. I think it was either a lake or river this time. I think it was actually a river or lake, so somewhere in the interior of the island. He died in the very same spot this little girl had drowned in. Yeah, oh, Ed just said Laguana de Tequila. I didn't know that was actually the name of it, but yeah, he died in the very same spot where the girl drowned, and since then it's been the dolls are still there. Obviously, a lot of them, because some of them are very old, they have been exposed to the elements. So a lot of them have been falling apart. A lot of them are very dirty. But there is a lot of people often hear the dolls speaking in different tones. I mean, it's definitely a creepy location, but I give it a try if I had the opportunity.
Nope, I'll be in the boat ready to exit.
I was gonna say it's creepy, it's creepy enough during the day, don't get me wrong, but for those that hate dolls, you definitely would not want to be there after dark.
I'll bring the.
No,
No
I'll
doubt
be
about
in the speedboat ready to exit. Nick, do you have any investigations coming up? And same with Rob.
it. So we actually yes we do, just one for right now. I am trying to plan out a couple more for my crew because if you guys didn't know, I just recently got a couple new candidates that are going to be joining my chapter, in this case Things of Illinois. And we're looking. They haven't been scheduled, but among one of the locations we're trying to plan out is Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, which is not only one of the most haunted and notorious locations here in Illinois. It's in fact one of the most famous haunted cemeteries in the country, if not the world. It just has that classic haunted cemetery look. But the the other investigation, the one that we officially have planned, this will not be until mid-May, and this is a location I've investigated several times, so it'll be good to be back at this location. Is the Old Lake County Jail in Crown Point, Indiana. Now, we have not been able to go for the last year or so because the jail, like many historic places, has been going under a lot of restoration lately. So, as a result of that, they had to close down the jail temporarily for well over a good couple months, if not almost a year, so they can get these restorations, so they could fix up the location. But from what I just recently heard, from what I heard recently, is that they're finally doing the tours and investigations again. So we're going to try to get there during the month of May, and it's also probably the best time to go too because over here once we hit May, it's not it's probably one of the best times to go because then it's not too hot, not too cold. You know, it'll be just as I always describe. We'll be in the Goldilocks zone, if you will. It'll be perfect for us to investigate. So, but that's all we got scheduled so far. But we're trying to put some other stuff together for this year.
Yeah, so but
Oh,
Bachelor's
awesome.
Grove, that's where Dan and Larry used to go a fair bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been it's a very popular location for
Mm.
a lot of different investigators. Yeah, Dan and Larry have been there, of course. Obviously, some of the television shows have been there too. I think there was actually well, not surprisingly, you have not official movies, but you have a lot of people out there who shoot different films and stuff
B
that
grades.
that location
Mm.
because what draws a lot of people to Bachelor's Grove is not only just the ghost stories involved, but sadly, it's also one of the most heavily vandalized cemeteries because
Mm.
the last burial that they had there was back in 1988. But even prior to that, it was since the 1960s, it was subjected to heavy vandalism. In fact, if I was going to talk about Bachelor's Grove, I should have brought these with me now that I'm thinking about it. But I did find some rare pictures of what Bachelor's Grove Cemetery looked like when it was a full cemetery.
Hmm.
I think they were taken back in the early 50s, like
Yeah.
around 1951. And when you see these pictures, you can see it's like, wow, like this was actually a really nice cemetery at one time. You go there today, only a few, like literally only a few graves remain, and there's even still graves that are still lying on their backs or on their sides.
Yeah.
Once again, because of vandalism. So
Mm.
it's been abandoned ever since. But that's what draws a lot of people who like the subject. And whether or even if they're not into it, it still draws a lot of people in.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hey, Mark and Michael Bloomfield, they just shared it, the show to their pages. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I just want to do a quick shout out to some of our followers and supporters and shows. So, just want to do a big shout out to Things Network. Thank you for your ongoing support. BB3 Network, Nick's new network, which is
Yeah,
NW.
it's called Multiverse Network.
Yeah. Also, Rob's page, I'd like to do a shout out to. Thank you for your support. Also, Unknown Ventures Paranormal. Please check his YouTube out. That's is in Texas and an investigator there. Also, shout out to Paranormal Perth. Thank you guys for your ongoing support, my team. And also Paracult, who we did invite today, but unfortunately he has to work. So, a shout out to you. And also Jason from the Afterlife Party with Kat. So, yeah. So, what's your thing about using Ouija boards?
Robert, do you want to go first this time? Because I seem like I'm the one who's going first. Why don't
Yeah.
you take the answer first?
Well, I've actually used one with my mother and best friend at the time. That was back in the mid 90s, I think it was. And we were in the spare parts shed that had been built on an area where there was a 12-year-old girl that died of cancer. And we believe it was her that we picked up on. And we were asking questions about the the niece that was yet to be born at that point in time. So we didn't know if it was going to be a niece or nephew. And it was coming out with things like, yes, it's going to be a girl, it's going to be a water type baby, and stuff like that. And yeah, we were just jokingly going, "Oh yeah, this is a big laugh, ha ha ha," and but we followed the rules. We opened the portal and did everything right. And then when we were finished, because the planchette was getting really slow at one point, so we said, "Okay, well, if it's getting too much for you, we'll close it out." So we did, and nothing else happened from that point on. But in that building, there was already a dark presence upstairs, as well as the girl's ghost. Because I'd go over there at night to get on the internet because that's the only place I could get on the internet at that point in time. And yeah, I'd hear things upstairs walking around when nobody else was there. Like this is 3, 4 in the morning, and pretty sure it was one of them that actually showed me how to access what I can do with the pulling of pain and discomfort out of people thousands of kilometres away. Because I was there one night talking to somebody in Pennsylvania, and
Yeah.
she was going that next day to get a root canal done on her teeth, and she was saying, I really have to go because the pain is that just that much. So yeah, as I said, I don't know which one it was that gave me the information, but I heard in my head, just do this, rub the hands together, and put it to the screen and pull back. So I did. I told this girl this that I was doing this, and I said, "May I do this to you?" And she said yes, and so I did. And then a couple of seconds later, she said, "How the f did you do that?" Because I'd
Yeah.
taken the pain away.
Real quick, first off, we got a couple more viewers that are watching. First off,
Yeah.
Eileen I almost said Japan. Eileen
Hey,
from
I,
Eileen from Scotland, from fan of Paranormal Seekers, is watching.
come on, you.
Thank you for tuning in. And Jill, good to see you too.
Hey,
Um,
Jill.
Jill, she was asking about how come we're not. The reason why we're not streaming on Things Network was at the time that we started broadcasting. Cat
Somebody
Hops
else is on.
yeah, Cat Hobson's show was still running, so we were gonna have to do this separately for tonight. And also to answer your earlier question from the other show I was doing, um, I wasn't sure if there was a show that was happening earlier this afternoon, but Shane and Mary had to do their show. Yeah, they had to do it separately too. So, but no, normally but in this case with this show, normally we would have broadcasted the things, but again, because Cats was running, we had to do it separately. Obviously out of respect. But here we
Yeah.
are either way. So
We
Yeah.
didn't
We're
want to
giving
muck
them a bit.
up.
sorry you haven't gotten notified.
I'll try and send her a request actually.
Yeah. Eileen here says, have had validation 100% on board when only observing with people that had never met or knew me. Received personal information known only to me and the person that came through. That's really
Wow.
interesting.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
just sending people the link.
No, you're fine. You're fine. While you're doing that, I'll also answer the question too. Like when it comes to Ouija boards, because Robert, I got to say that was quite a story. you know, when it comes to Ouija boards, although I do own one, I've never actually really used it. I know when I was younger, I was under the impression. I think a lot of us were at that time. 20 years ago, that we were given this message that Ouija boards were extremely dangerous and it was going to conjure up, demonic entities, all this crazy stuff.
That's why they sold it to kids as a toy.
Yeah, and that was over here. Yeah, they were selling those at Toys R Us. So, they were giving all this, at that time, obviously, I mean, I was younger then, but I bought
Two
into
years
that
old.
Ouija boards were dangerous. But now that several years have gone by and I've gotten a lot more education about this, that they're only dangerous if you don't know exactly
What you're
what
doing?
with them. It's if when you use them, it's a little bit more safer. Obviously, I mean, yes, there is still that risk that you could be communicating with something negative, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you're going to,
Throw
spawn a
it out.
yeah, you're not gonna spawn a true demon from hell or anything. And the funny thing is the Ouija board that I have, it was not even mine to begin with, because you were just bringing up Robert, like how they sell them to kids.
Yep.
The Ouija board I have, it was originally a birthday gift from my sister back when she was 10 years old, over 20 years ago. And the funniest part
Oh,
is, I still have that Ouija board to this day, including in its original box.
Hmm.
So
Oh
Um,
wow.
I've never really used them for the most part. Not again because they're dangerous or anything like that. I mean, I often say for the most part that I just don't find it necessary. I know it sounds weird, but I would usually say when it comes to Ouija boards, I just like to watch.
Yeah, yeah, no, I don't use them. No, we're good. Yeah. I think also too, because of my gift, if I use a Ouija board, because I'm already zoned in, I
Hmm.
think I would pick up stuff that I don't want to pick up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I personally don't use them, and our team doesn't use them because a lot of people on our team don't like to use them. So for
Yeah.
respect of that,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't use them. But yeah,
Kate's
um,
watching. Good to see you, Kate.
okay. Okay,
I
if you
wonder.
want to try and join, I did send a link to a lot of people, but for some strange reason, it's not letting them join. So I
Yeah,
do
it's
apologise
acting
for
really it's
technical
acting
issues.
really strange. Again, we're still kind of getting used to this. Jill had said, Nick and everyone, you can just simultaneously post up so we can get the notifications for sure, and you will all still receive the views this way. I usually just open separate tabs to watch shows at the same time. That's not a bad idea. See, again, I know I've said it multiple times. Yeah, we're just getting started with Eve Mux. It's still brand new to us. I mean, it's a little different
It's hard.
compared to what it was with the StreamYard. Um, I like what Kate
Yeah,
said.
it's
Two
hard.
Nickies and a Robert.
Oh,
Well, it was
yeah.
going to be Tubal.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
there was meant to be two Roberts and one Jason and two
yeah.
Nicks, but
Eileen here says you have to trust the people you participate with on board. But
true.
it's only another
Yeah,
communication tool like any other. Too much bad TV hype, and she's absolutely right. That's
Yeah.
why I said over 20, 20 years ago when I first started, I really bought into a lot of it. Now I realize it's not exactly how it's always looked at.
Hmm.
hmm yeah.
I wonder if Tom made a Ouija board in Minecraft, that if you go along with a bucket of lava and wreck it that way.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to do on Minecraft. Oh, and Kate said the famous line, by the way, that you guys all know. I just got to say it once. Well,
So it was going to be Birdie.
um,
Birdie.
Kate also responded back to what you said. Nikki said she
Yeah.
appreciate, she said thank you, but she's in bed, but she is enjoying the show either way.
Thanks, Kate. I'm trying. I'm trying. I've got two lovely people with me, so it's all good.
And we got a
So
couple
what's
viewers. We definitely got a couple viewers watching. I mean, I know we're not getting much on the other pages, but from my
yeah.
personal side, we got about 3 or 4 viewers watching. So we got a couple
Oh,
folks. Jill and Kate
we're
being
getting.
one of them, and Eileen.
Thank
And
you.
Joe, if Joe's still there.
Kate's
And
asking,
Bob.
so we're talking about paranormal equipment. Um, we're kind of
We
going.
can.
I mean, we're kind of going through different things, but
It's,
yeah, we can
it's all
definitely talk
over the board.
about equipment.
Yeah. So yeah, with paranormal chat, it's pretty much anything, from paranormal to TV shows to experiences to what you do in daily life is pretty much anything. So
Hmm.
free range, just as long as it's respectful and PG.
Right. Eileen here says it's 4 a.m. here in Scotland. Jeez,
Oh,
it's really
hey,
early for
can't get to
you
bed.
guys.
And but yeah, duh. So Nick, if when you investigate, what would you recommend people not eating before investigating?
Well, one thing I would definitely advise against is, and this is a very common tactic. I mean, not with all of us, obviously, because there's a lot of us who know better than to do this, but there are a few other investigators that have been known to do this. Is I would definitely not provoke when during an investigation because all you're going to do is just make that situation, make not only just I mean, yeah, you sure are going to definitely increase the level of activity, but to a very negative, even at times a rather violent level, which is that is something I would strongly discourage, anyone from
Yeah,
doing.
Mhm.
That'd be the same as if Steve Irwin was still alive. He'd say, "Crikey, there's a ghost. Let's go piss
Yeah.
it off."
Well, and I'll actually give you guys. I'm
Oh,
going to
that's
keep it
funny.
real short, but we actually did investigate a small bar. Well, it was a bar and restaurant. Ironically, it was called the Bad Attitude Bar and Grill, and it's a more recent location. But it turned out that this place did have ties over now almost 100 years ago, back in the 1920s with Al Capone and some of the Prohibition era here in gangs in Chicago,
Mm.
and
Oh,
but now and if that's not enough, I was told. But the strange part is there were three deaths that occurred, but strangely, unlike what you would think would have happened, these deaths
mhm.
occurred recently, like with over the last 15, 20 years. And the owner of the bar, who I become really good friends with, she actually wants me to come back and investigate there real soon. And
Cool.
she said she had like a bar patron, and I guess he must have overheard her and talking about the supposed hauntings at at her bar. And this was a guy, obviously, it was that simple question, which was, do you believe in ghosts? And he's like, no. Said he didn't believe in anything like that at all.
Yeah.
And in fact, what he started doing, this was definitely like a huge no-no. He started not only
It is.
saying existed, he was like, all right, well, if there really is something here, why don't you come at me? And he even made it worse for himself. Next was he actually climbed up, and it was one of those bars that had those tall tables like you
Oh,
sometimes see in
yeah.
restaurants. He actually climbed up on the table, and like I'm surprised he was able to stand up considering the amount of weight he was putting on it. And he just
Mhm.
like he tries to make himself like as vulnerable as possible, like saying, "Come on, do something. If it's really haunted, and he started like cursing and whatnot. And before he knew it, next thing you know, he was on the ground. Something actually pushed him off the table, and he fell. I mean, to this day, I'm really surprised this guy didn't get seriously injured. Like that should have
Mhm.
broken a bone in him. He should have been sent to the hospital. And after that all occurred, it was like, well, I guess you guys were right. I'm sorry about that. I mean, he definitely left that place embarrassed. So that is a principle that you never promote.
Yeah.
Ever, even if you don't believe in this stuff, you just don't ever do it.
Yeah. Don't do that, please. And don't break into buildings either. That's a big no no.
Yeah, don't break. Yeah, don't trespass.
Yeah, because we've had there's a place here in Perth that I've reached out and they've just got back to me and they're like, for safety purposes, the answer's going to be no. But yeah, there's been a few people that have broken in and actually fallen through skylines and end up being spirits themselves. So yeah, please don't break into buildings.
Yeah, it's just that's another thing I would advise against. If, as I always usually say, for anybody that wants to go, especially like that wants to investigate, especially when it comes to the abandoned locations, best thing to do is just ask for permission first. Whoever owns the building, or if you can do it ahead of time, just get the permission. Because at least then you're doing it the right way and you're not breaking the law in that case. But nonetheless, never
Mhm.
trespass. It's illegal
Yeah.
and it's also at times very dangerous.
And don't eat curry before an investigation.
Yeah.
Or beans.
Bad move. Yeah.
Kate here says I was watching a documentary about the quarantine station in Melbourne that's still there from the Great Migration.
Yeah.
That place is seriously haunted, which I'm not surprised.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. We
Eileen
do
here says
quarantine
if you had
station.
to, oh, she's got a question for us, for all of us.
Yeah,
Uh
go
huh.
for it.
She said, if you had to choose only one bit of kit, what would you choose for investigations? That's a really good question.
Myself, body.
First aid box.
I would say, and by the way, Jeremy's watching this, by the way. So as far as like the type of kid, and I'm actually saying this kind of on behalf of Jeremy. He's gonna know exactly what I'm gonna tell him. It would have to, it would have to be the dog whistle, honestly. The dog whistle just it works really well, and I've been trying to help spread it to other investigators that they really should give it a try. It really is quite genuine when you use it in investigations.
Might give that a go. May scare some people, but I'll give it a go.
It might freak some people out, but the results are quite fascinating when you get the responses. Kate says throw an EMF on the Barbie. um,
Lure a
Eileen
dog man to you. Mm.
Eileen here says, "Yep." Eileen here says, "Never be disrespectful to spirits," and she also said, "I don't like." And she's right on this too. I don't like the confrontational, challenging Bacon's way, like how Zach always does it.
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
that is just a whole nother level of
Mm-hmm.
just making things bad.
Correct. Mm.
yeah. Just be because with our team we have like I actually make people sign a contract, and in the contract is be respectful to locations, be respectful for teams, our equipment,
Yep.
and also the
Mhm.
spirits, and don't provoke. And if you're going to provoke, sorry, this team's not for you. So
Yeah.
nicely exit to the left. Nicely putting it.
Exit stage left even.
Well, and I will.
Nicely putting
Again, I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, when I was a little bit younger, when I started doing some of these investigations, especially like around 2012, 2013, I was at that time under the impression that we were supposed to be like not necessarily provoking, but kind of like acting like if you were working at if you were investigating a jail, you were supposed to
yeah,
treat them like it was like. But obviously, after a year or two, I realized that was not the way to go.
Nope.
I didn't have anything attack me, but the
yeah,
reason what made me truly open my eyes very quickly was, in a way, it was like maturity. I grew up. I saw
Mm-hmm.
the way how things really were when it came to investigations.
Yep.
yeah. Because
That
at
was
the
sort
end
of
of the
like when
day,
I was over at Fremantle Prison, and I was up in the top floor on a tour, and I looked into one of the little eyepieces. They had the
oh
what
yeah,
are they? Triangular sort of eyepiece, so that you could look in both up and
yeah,
down and see the
yeah,
entire thing. And I was only looking in, and there was a big. I could see the room, but there was the light coming in from behind, from the windows, and then something black just comes straight at me towards the
oh, wow.
eyepiece that blocked the entire thing. So I stepped back and went, okay, leave that alone.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mentioned it to the tour
Little
guide. He said,
fears.
yeah, we get that all the time. We get people saying they've seen things, and that's the Fremantle prison. Yeah,
It's so hard to get the location. So shout out to Fremantle Prison. We respect you and would love to come
yeah,
investigate one day. But yeah, it takes a lot of work,
yeah,
emails, contacts, insurance, etc.
mhm,
So,
yeah.
but we do have one coming up on the 22nd of this month, and it is in Fremantle, but it's not the Fremantle um,
Prison. Okay.
museum or prison. It's somewhere totally
Yeah,
different because we can't actually do that. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm excited. It's my first Fremantle one. Go Fremantle Dockers. Just do a little shout out to them.
It's not the insane asylum, is it?
No, it's the
No. Right.
Roundhouse.
Okay.
Yeah, Fremantle Roundhouse. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, that will be very interesting. So yeah, we have done. We did a location that it used to be. It's kind of tricky because back in the day, it was actually built for mental asylum, but they didn't actually physically use it as a mental asylum. They ended up using
Right.
it for the people that came over from the war, World War Two, World
Right.
War Three, that
Right.
had
Yeah, kind of like a
Or
better.
three.
PTSD and stuff like that. And then they ended up turning into a place. One of the guys that used to work there and stuff, he ended up actually turning it into. I think it was in 1960s, 50s. I need to double check. He actually turned it into a place where the homeless could come and live and be like that and get their lives back up together. There was some holding cells for Aboriginal prisoners, but then they released them out and stuff like that. But yeah, it is a quite big location, and we have investigated there before. That location, it depends on how you go into it. If you provoke and disrespectful, you get stuff back.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I did a little ghost paranormal tour type of thing. So what we do is we get a location, we investigate it first, and then we ask the public, hey, if you want to come and out investigate, we're happy to bring you along to certain locations. And we did one, and a guy was walking down the hall from another team, and he's amazing. And unfortunately, he actually got choked. He wasn't being disrespectful; it was just the timing. And unfortunately, some people have actually broken into that location. So please don't break in
Jeez.
because it stirs up stuff. Yeah,
See
and
if
hopefully we're going.
no, go ahead,
Hopefully
go ahead.
go.
I'm sorry, Nikki.
In the
Yeah,
words of
hopefully go.
in the words of Banana, don't be a dickhead.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
very much. See, and I was just thinking of. I've actually spoken about this case for you guys to you guys before. I mean, when it comes to some of these locations, also like even if some of these locations had bad spirits that were bad people in life, you still
Mm-hmm.
just cannot provoke under any
Yeah.
circumstances. And in fact, I told, I don't know if I know I told you, Nikki. I don't know if
Yeah.
I told you,
Yeah.
Robert. There actually was a case. Well, not even a case, kind of more of a case involving myself, where I did
Yeah.
have somewhat of an attachment that followed me home all the way from Kent, Ohio. And in fact, it was at an old house that was just down the street from where Kent State University is located. And I'll never. And this is something I'll definitely. It's almost one of those cases that I kind of have to almost look over my shoulder to make sure she doesn't come back. And
Mhm.
it was at a residential location. Now the thing is, we never actually went into this house because once again, this was somebody who was actually living there. We just happened to find the
Yeah.
actual house where you, you
Mm-hmm.
guys have seen the show Paranormal Wit.
Yes.
Okay, so did you guys ever
Ooh,
did
person.
you guys
Not
ever
bad.
see the you guys ever see that episode that was called Nightmare on Chestnut Street? You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
Didn't see that one.
Oh God. Okay, so well, since Robert has it, I'm going to tell you right now, it
Yeah.
was without a shadow of a doubt one of the most frightening episodes I think I've ever seen. I don't know what it was, but there was just something just so incredibly
Evil.
dark and frightening about this, and
Mm-hmm.
I would never think in a million years I would find the actual house of where this all occurred.
Yeah.
And I'll just put it this long again, keeping it real short. The episode was about three college students who were 20 years ago, who were just finishing up their final year of
Yeah.
college before they go out to the real world. And
Mhm.
they, along with a boyfriend of theirs who temporarily moves in, are thrown into a reign of terror by. She's not really. This is just how she appeared. They were thrown into
Mhm.
a reign of terror by this demonic woman that it turned out later on she was brutally murdered in that house, and
Yeah.
she's angry over the fact that her husband, even though this was over a century ago, her husband was never brought to justice for it. So again, I
Mhm.
never think over 20 years, almost 20 years later, we come across the actual house. And I got to tell you, when I was there, even though we were still quite a few feet away from this house, and it was one of those creepy looking houses too, because it was up on a hill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was, but to me, it was literally just a feeling of evil when I was there. And
Mhm.
I just know for a fact that if this woman's spirit is still haunting this house, anyone that tries to provoke her, oh man, they got really another thing coming. Even though I felt like she had
Yeah.
attached herself to me briefly, I
Yeah.
Yeah.
knew without a shadow of a doubt, no matter what happens, is
Mhm.
definitely do not provoke her under any circumstances because I
Yeah.
knew I would have been if I tried any. I mean, other than defending myself, if I had tried to do anything else involving her, I knew at that point that I would be in very serious trouble.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. There's
Yeah,
just some locations.
you had
You go
mentioned that
for it.
because I did look. I looked that place up on Google Earth, and there was a ladder going up to the very top to the little attic window in the Google Earth view of it. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
mm, and she
yeah, and
most likely is still there until she gets her piece, I guess.
it's sad. Some locations, like the stories and stuff, and then people go in there and just be like, "You're going to speak to me." It's like, well, actually, no, I'm not going to speak to you.
Yeah.
Because
I
at the end of the because at the end of the day, you want to treat them how I would treat Nick. Like I
right.
walk in Nick's house, I'll treat with him respect. I'm not going to walk in there and start trashing his house because Nick will be like, "Get the beep out." So
Yeah.
yeah, please treat them with respect because they deserve to be treated with respect, no matter what they did in life. Still treat them with respect because you don't know what they could do to you. So
Well, in the case with this
No
this
packets of lava for Nick.
well, in
cool.
the case with well, in the case with
I'm coming over.
this woman that for a brief period also terrorized me,
Hmm.
as bad as she was, I still had to respect her regardless. Not only just,
Mhm.
it was just the right thing to do, but you
Yeah.
have to remember too, this poor woman was horrifically murdered over 100 years ago. She never got the justice that she deserved, and it's obvious that in spite that probably not realizing that it has been many decades, it's been over a century since it's all occurred, that in a way, I guess she's kind of that entity that it wants to take her revenge on the entire world. She wants other people to
Yeah,
feel her pain, to feel the same
she's
terror
pissed.
that she went through. I mean, she was killed in a very brutal way, and the fact that her husband, who was also the doctor of the town of Kent at that time, was never caught, charged. I mean, arrested or charged for a crime.
Mhm.
You can't help but feel. I mean, as evil as she has become, you
Yeah.
can't help but feel sorry for her at the same time. So that's why
Mhm.
I still respect her in the end. Like when I started having a lot of these same horrific nightmares that these college students
Mhm.
20 years prior, I just had to. I mean, it was that situation where I'm thinking,
Yeah.
I cannot tolerate this. I feel. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I even said I feel bad. I really feel bad for her terribly, but I was not going to tolerate her attacks on me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. No.
Hey, Lauren. Lauren's
Yeah.
watching.
Hey, Lauren. Yeah, I don't think I've had any attachments. I've been choked, but not. Yeah. But I don't. Saying that, I don't think it's going to sound weird. I don't think it was from a negative way. It was kind of like, you're not paying attention, I'm gonna. And then I was like, white light. And then they kind of walked off and did their thing. So,
Now,
yeah.
Eileen here says in the comments, I have an attachment, claims to be a husband from a previous life in the 15th century. He is quite aggressive and keeps saying I murdered him. Follows me to most locations. We have some amazing EVP evidence from him. Calls me by name. Very strong Scottish accent, which again is not surprising because since this is, we're fact this is taking place in Scotland. Yeah, I can certainly see that.
Nick, you look like you got little bunny ears behind you.
What's that?
Because of that love heart on your head, it
Oh,
looks like little bunny ears.
yeah. It's. I have as you guys know, I have the basement decorated for upcoming Valentine's Day. So, yeah, it's no different than what it looked like 2 months ago when I had the Christmas decorations. I had the bow tie behind me.
Hmm. Yeah, no. So yeah, we've got a few investigations coming up. We've got the Fremantle Roundhouse. We've got York, a location that I can't disclose at the moment. We're in the woodworks. Fingers crossed. Sunset
Yeah.
Hospital. Fingers crossed. And that is pretty much it at the moment. But yeah, we've done a few locations and stuff. We've done probably four locations that are one. If you actually Google it, they're rated RAC most haunted locations in Australia. So yeah, it was interesting. Most
um,
say the least, especially when they're like, you're going to be in charge. You're walking in front. I'm just like,
yeah.
please no, because it's the Swanview. It was the Swanview tunnels in Swanview, and it's ranked one of the most haunted locations in Australia. Personally, but that place is really hard to investigate because you have people riding through with motorbikes and stuff like that. So then you can't get audio, and then you have to be
Right.
safe. And then there's a cliff you can fall into, and I'm just like, yeah, please watch where
Yeah.
you're going with the torch and look down when you're walking. Don't just, yeah. Um, that was interesting. Got some photos, got some good evidence that we could capture, but yeah. What else have we done? Kalamunda Hotel. They love us there. Love you, Kalamunda Hotel. We'll be back. So yeah, that is ranked one of the most haunted locations in WA as well. Um, the history behind it, so there's a male that I call Paddy. He comes through a lot. He was one of the previous owners of the hotel, and yeah, he likes to chat, especially with women, and play with cat balls and stuff like that. There is a little girl called Ava, and yeah, she if you're a female, she loves you. If you're a male, she'll bolt. She doesn't want to have anything to do with you. So I was like, Darren, guess where you're going tonight? You're going to go and speak to Ava. Yeah, Ava's lovely. She hides, but yeah, she's a good little spirit. And she always protects me when I'm around there. Um, Even you can go in and have dinner there as well, Nick. And I'll be sitting there and I could feel her. Like, you know, when a kid, you know, when your niece touches your feet to try and
Yeah.
get your attention and stuff, you'll always feel that around her. Like, every time I'm there, I'm like, Ava, I'm trying to eat. Can you nicely
Wow.
go and play with your dolls, sweetie? But yeah, her death was quite sad. Not going to go into too much to it. But yeah, I don't think she knows that she's crossed over. So yeah, she's like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to be by myself. And I'm like, you're not by yourself. You've got your mum with you. So yeah,
Eileen has another question for us, by the way.
yeah, go for the phone.
It was a similar question to what you were asking earlier, Nikki, but I'll
Mhm.
still read it out anyway. She said, "Where would you investigate if you could choose anywhere in the world? In this case,
Tasmania,
Tasmania." Okay.
Penthurst, yeah, Penthurst, Bobby Mackey's.
Well,
I don't know
unfortunately,
why I keep
Bobby
saying that.
Mackey's. Well, Bobby Mackey's. You guys heard it was demolished, right?
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, that's out the
Uh, they,
window.
I don't know if you guys saw. Yeah, if you didn't get word, Nikki, unfortunately, was demolished a few months ago. Much to the disappointment to a lot of us.
Oh wow.
Tullamore grain silos. I actually went there and had a bit of an investigation. I heard things in the actual silos themselves, um, but didn't have an audio recorder or my phone with me, so I couldn't catch anything there. But there's definitely something in there because we were
Yeah.
down there for almost a full year. So I did a fair few investigations there. I went out to the cemetery as well. The cemetery was
Mhm.
completely dead, pun intended.
I know you. Yeah.
Nothing there except for holes in the ground where I think the local wildlife were digging in to keep out of the heat. Like they
Yeah.
had the concrete on top, and then they had the burrows underneath.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, that's one of the places I've been to and investigated. Um, there have been. I actually was there. A guy actually asked me to come out to his property, but never eventuated because couldn't find the property. He was wanting me to
Yeah.
investigate I think it was either a cattle shed or a barn of some kind that he said that there were things in. Because I made mention to him that that's what we did. We were paranormal investigators, and he said, "Oh, you might be interested in coming out and having a look at my barn." Never found it this close.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, please do a background check first.
Yeah. Um, real quick,
Yeah.
just because comments are building up. Lauren
Uh-huh.
was
Yeah, go
asking.
for it.
Lauren was asking. Uh, from my side, she's asking how's your adorable daughter, Nikki? She's asking.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, she's good. She's enjoying year three, driving everybody bonkers, but that's okay. That's what kids do. Nah, she's good. She's happy. She's healthy, and yeah, she's getting there slowly. But yeah, she
And
loves life, and she loves going to school. So thank you.
Mhm.
And Jill, to answer, because she had a question, she said, I believe they plan to rebuild Bobby Mackey's. Jill, that I'm not entirely sure. I just knew the last time I heard it was demolished. I didn't hear of anything about any rebuilding plans, but I who knows though? Maybe they will rebuild it. I don't know. I'll have to do some research on that and see if there's anything about rebuilding it. She also says,
Mhm.
regardless, the property will still have the hauntings. Its location different. Its location different things going on near. So even when a
Yeah,
new building will continue activity, and that's not unusual. Like even when a location is no longer existing, the activity
Doesn't
that
matter.
a location it's going to still remain. In fact,
yeah.
Of course it will.
I was
Oh
just
my
thinking.
goodness.
In fact, I was just thinking of. I know it's not really one of the. This is involving a horror movie, but it does have some truth in it. It's actually
Yeah.
a series that I think we're all familiar with, the Amityville horror series. When they made those direct-to-video sequels in the late '90s, I believe it was Amityville: A New Generation, which at that point was no longer even really featuring the house. It was like focusing on form possessed items that were supposedly part of the house, sometime in
Mm-hmm.
the franchise. And I do like how the narrator says in the trailer, and it's genuine again when you look at locations that no longer exist. He says the house is gone now, but the horror that dwelled there remains. And when you really think about it, it's really no different. So it's he's right. Even the location no longer exists, whatever haunted there still remains.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. What else would I like to investigate? Nick's house.
My house.
No. Probably Waverly Hills would be a good one.
Oh
I've
yeah,
always wanted.
Waverly Hills is not. It doesn't disappoint. That's one of my favorite locations.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Slinky's deciding to make an appearance on the show too. You go. You want to see where
Hey,
you like to
Slinks.
investigate?
Hey, Slinks.
Yeah, I think she's investigating right now, trying to look for mice.
Go for it.
Another place I could think of because I was going to answer Eileen's question too, like if there was anywhere in the world. This is another. In fact, this is probably a location Jill will know because this is also located in California. Um, it's not well. Ironically, it's another prison, but right now it's still in operation. It's undoubtedly. I would love, if ever given the chance, investigating San Quentin State Prison because even though it's still in operation, San Quentin is a historic prison. It is the oldest prison in the state of California. It's actually the very first state prison ever to have opened in the state. And it's got to be haunted because San Quentin's had a long history of being one of the most violent institutions. This prison has housed gang members, murderers, rapists, serial killers. They housed Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker of LA, and Richard Allen Davis, who murdered Polly Klaus. You had the Toolbox Killers. You had Charles Manson. You even Richard Chase, the vampire of Sacramento. The list just goes on. And I can't even imagine the amount of activity that takes place in that prison. So if it ever closes
Mm-hmm.
down, that would be another place I would love to investigate.
No, that'd be good. I reckon. Yeah. I'm gonna head off soon, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's totally fun.
So
Uh,
yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm just catching up with the comments.
yeah,
Eileen,
it's all right.
yeah, Eileen said I liked. Oh, funny enough, she mentioned a location I previously mentioned. I'd like to return to the states and do Queen Mary. Only dined aboard some years ago, and the Outlook Shining Hotel. That and I've been to the the Rio Hotel, the Stanley Hotel. Never got to investigate it, but we did get to walk around it though. Fortunately, um,
Mm-hmm.
it's if you guys ever thought about wanting to go to the Stanley, I mean, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure it's a great place to investigate, but that's one of the more tougher locations to get into. It's just so damn expensive to even just getting
Yeah.
one night at that hotel. It's just so pricey. I mean, to me, that hotel is pretty much for a lot of the rich folks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tough one. Jill had said I would love to explore that original prison, San Quentin, with me. Let's all set a date in the future. If they, well, if they ever allowed us to go to San Quentin's dungeon, I'm all for it. And Eileen also said San Quentin would be amazing, and Alcatraz. Found
Yeah.
Alcatraz very disturbing just to visit. I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm. That would surprise me.
I wouldn't
All
mind going
right,
to that
guys.
one that had Al Capone in the one that had all
Al
the
Capone
mob
would be,
con type things. Yeah, the central hub with the branches going out.
yeah,
That
Al Capone.
Philadelphia.
He was at Alcatraz, but he was also at Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia,
That must be it.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's where he had all the because he was like a
Plus,
celebrity. He was like a celebrity even in the prison system. They gave
yeah.
him all this nice stuff in the for his prison cell, which is still there. And funny
Yep.
enough, because he was originally here from Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't know if you guys have ever heard the story, but when he was serving his time at Eastern State Penitentiary, he claimed he was being haunted by one of the victims from the St. Valentine's Day massacre
Yeah.
that occurred here in
Mm-hmm.
Chicago
I
in
remember hearing that.
1929.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's kind of a Chicago connection to that location.
Alrighty, guys, we're going to call it a night because I think Robert needs to do
Yeah,
another show shortly.
it's at 4 o'clock, so
And,
it's still an hour and a bit to go. So,
okay. I think blah, 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 blah. Nick needs some sleep.
Yeah, it's already about 10:45 p.m. It's almost 11 o'clock over here, and also too not to I got to get up at 7 a.m. tomorrow to go to work.
hmm
So yeah, thank you everybody for joining Paranormal Perth Chat PWA for 2025. Woo!
Yep.
We hopefully will be back in 3 weeks' time with more.
paranormal talk.
What am I thinking? Visitors, or what do you want to call
Yeah, hopefully we'll
it?
get
Sleep.
the guests that we were supposed to have. I mean, once we grow a little bit more accustomed to Eve Mux and know what exactly what to do, hopefully we should have a better opportunity. So we'll try again next time. Even though we couldn't get Robbie and Jason on, but we'll get them on next time either way.
Yep,
Yeah.
and shout out to you guys. And please check out everybody's YouTube channels and pages: Things Network, Paranormal, BB3, Paranormal Perth Chat, Paranormal
Small,
Perth.
small town paranormal
Yep, Rob's
Yep.
one.
And our new
Um,
and my new network,
and
Multiverse
NW.
Network.
Mm.
Yeah,
yeah, and
and
yeah,
and
thank
of
you.
course Things Network too. Let's not forget
Yeah,
them
Things Network.
as always.
Yeah, yeah,
And
gotta love Things
Times.
Network. Yeah. Boy. And also,
But
Night Watchers. Who else do we have? Anyone else? BB3, Paranormal, Things Network, NW, Paranormal Perth Chat.
Multiverse. So that's about 6 different names.
So yeah, thank you for your ongoing support. Love you, peace, and see you on the flip side.
mhm.
Guys, have a great night.
And
And
bye, guys.